and bows and brand new painters. I am Heather Marzigliano, and I have been a Dixie Belle retailer for a long time. I started carrying Dixie Belle in 2014, so I've had a lot of experience with the paint and the products, and I've gotten to watch the company grow, and it's been amazing. And I get to come here on Tuesday mornings and show you guys some tips and tricks, and we paint together, which is super, super fun. I am also one of the founders and instructors on the Bells and Bow Tour, and that's coming up November 3rd in Edison, New Jersey is the first stop. Atlanta is coming up in January on the 18th. So November 3rd, it's in like a month, Margaret.
It's coming up fast.
Next week, next Monday, is already the 30th of September. So we have like 5 weeks until the conference in New Jersey, which is so much fun. There's still tickets left, so if you haven't gotten your tickets, make sure you come to that. It's going to be a great time. So this dresser we started last week. We started prep for it the week before because we had a photo contest to see. Everyone put in pictures. Then everybody in internet world voted. The one with the most votes, I'm doing an inspiration piece, and she won a prize from Dixie Belle. So the one that won was a flamingo. And it's hilarious because behind the scenes, I keep calling it a peacock, even though I understand it's two different birds. But in my crazy little head, a flamingo and a peacock are basically the same thing. Sure. So if I accidentally call this a peacock, please understand, I know it's a flamingo. The other fun fact about me is that I run large-scale vendor events. We have a huge one in June. We just got done with one this weekend out front of my store. So I have the vendor events, I have the conference, I do a lot of things, right? Like I paint furniture, but I also have all of these other business aspects that kind of branch off of it. And the only reason that's like super important for this moment, and it's not just random chatter, I promise, is during said vendor event, Margaret and I were like, you know what? Let's take this pretty flamingo piece and put it in the back room because the store's super little and something's going to happen to it between now and then. So we tried to prepare it to be safe. And then my husband came along. And if you guys were watching last week, you know that my husband didn't even want me to have this piece to begin with. And I think he has some personal vendetta with this piece because it was back there perfectly fine, and he had a put away table, and instead of nicely giving it to Margaret, he decided to shove it in the corner. And look,
it was a tight squeeze in his defense. It was.
I know, but the story sounded way better when I was just like,
yeah, no, I mean, it went back there, and there was a bang, and I was like, oh, can I just go back and, can I do it? He was like, okay, fine. And I'm like, oh, no, okay.
So, when all this happened, we got all these new scratches all over our pretty drawer, and then the worst part is he actually banged the foot off. So now, we get to start with a lesson on what to do when your husband or your children mess up your furniture. And we're going to go from there. But I also want you guys to be thinking, I'm going to show you how we're going to kind of do this. But this looks super, super duper flat to me. And I don't like it flat. So I want to add something at least on these two drawers. So I started kind of thinking, if you look at the flamingo's feathers, they're like lots of different colors piled on each other. So I wanted to do something like that. And it's an inspiration piece. It wasn't meant to be an exact duplication. I'm not going to paint a flamingo. Even if I knew how to, I don't know that that's what I would want for this piece. It's just inspiration. So I want to use all those different colors and layer them, and I was trying to think of how. So as you can see, we ombre'd from dark to light. So what I want to do on these two is do a stencil across them, because a lot of people also were asking me to do a tutorial on how I did a stencil on that gray, the French linen piece that I posted 2 days ago. So I can do that with this piece, and I want to go from light to dark, if that makes sense, like throughout the stencil. So we have this stencil, which I just used, and it can either go this way or this way, or I have this one. So just start kind of thinking about that as we're fixing it. My stupid hair tie just broke again, so I'm going to use my emergency hair tie and pull it back so that I'm not messing with my hair the whole time I'm painting. This is just a day, Margaret. My goodness. The piece is broken, my hair tie breaks. Holy heck. I brought a backup one this time though. Alright. Everyone. There we go.
So it sounds like husbands and broken pieces of furniture are a pretty common complaint.
It's a thing?
It sounds like a thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
alright. Oh, guys, and I need to give my friend like a quick shameless plug because she watches every single Tuesday and she always sees that I'm wearing her earrings. So my friend Jenny Lou makes my earrings, and her name's Ginny, and I will make sure I do a post on my page for her because she said she always wants to shout out that she's excited to see my earrings, but she's shy. So I told her I would make it worse and I would mention it during my live. So this is me mentioning it because she's shy, and they're amazing. Okay, so these are just like superficial, kind of like dirty scuffs. They're not dented. It's just they kind of got scuffed up. This one came completely off. So as we go over, there's a tiny lip. My hope right now is I'm going to take out a sander, not my electric one. I'm just going to take a hand sanding pad out, and I'm hoping that we can just sand these out quickly and then move on, because sometimes you don't need to go through a big process, and just that will do. So I am hoping that just the sanding pad will work. I have my electric sander, and I could take that out and this would go away in 2 seconds, but it's loud and we're live, so I don't want to do that. But typically that's really what I would do, is use an electric sander and just go near, done. But these are also great. Obviously the foot is on, so Margaret already glued it over the weekend. So that happened before we came live because we wouldn't be able to do anything. This lip might be a little bit more than sanding is going to.
Betty wants to know if my phone is on.
What?
Is your phone on, Margaret?
Who wants to know if your phone's on?
Betty. Betty, my phone is always on, but it's on silent.
Why? Is Betty going to call?
Oh, and maybe they can hear the beeps on your phone. Because you have it on, like, a do not disturb, but it still goes boop, boop. Like, there's a vibration, so maybe...
No, you know what? I might have forgot to do it. I'm going to
maybe
pop
that's
over here
what
and
it
help
is.
you guys. Maybe that's what's going on.
Say,
Hold on.
Mine's not making a peep.
Hold on. Let's see if I can...
Because I've noticed sometimes on your
Nope.
lives it does that.
No, I forgot to do not disturb. So, see, guys...
There we go. Thank you, Betty.
It's even a better morning. I forgot to do that, too. Woo.
But hey, the more you know, right?
Now you guys should not get any of my notifications. Oh, it's getting softer. It's working out.
And it would. It was like hanging on by a thread, so I didn't want to rip the whole thing off.
Yeah. Well, if it can be repaired, it's always better
Yeah,
than rebuilding.
just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We're getting there. That one's good. Oh, just right here. There's like a little bit of a line, but it might be cool. Only because it'll leave like a fun distress mark later, but I'd rather get most of it out.
Thank you again, Betty. She says it's a good lesson for what to do when things go wrong, as they sometimes do.
Yeah, you just gotta keep
Boy,
going.
amen to that. Things
Fix
do
it,
go
right?
wrong, don't they?
Often. I think a lot of times things happen in life in general more so than things go perfectly in all sorts of areas, right? Like the biggest lesson I think I've learned in business, and it carries over into life at times, is the ability to pivot. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard someone talk about it, like with business and life, but it basically means if something's not going well or it's not working, change course, right? Do something different. And it's so important to be able to go with the flow and change what you're doing, change it up, and keep going, because things do happen. All right, that is, now it just feels like part of like the grain. It's not like this big rigid line. I know you guys can't feel it, but if you did, you would feel that it's super soft, and there is a seam, but it's not a huge divot. And then all this, we're gonna sand this back and off, just where he scratched that. So
I might be able to take credit for those. That might have been like the back of my pants.
Too?
It could have been the back of my pants.
Oh,
That's
my
a tight squeeze back there.
Oh, we need a bigger store.
If
If anyone has ever been to my store,
tight.
it's little. We have this tiny little store, and the space that we paint in is basically the space you see right here, and Margaret and I both squeeze in here every day and get stuff done. So sometimes things happen. Just jumping on, I don't normally sand my first coats back. We were just fixing some scratches that were dark.
Janice would, oh, I'm sorry. Janice would like to know what color the top is.
Yeah, this is Flamingo, this is Apricot, this is Pink Champagne, and this is, we used fluff, right, I think. Yep, nope, cotton. Wait, nope. Nope, fluff. I don't think I used cotton. Alright, so we're going to do our second coat and go down because it's just not quite dark enough. And then we're going to do some stencils if we have time. So I'm going to keep them kind of there so you guys can look at them and decide which one inspires you guys the most with the Flamingo. We got these little rolly carts from the craft store, and it's the best thing ever. So we put each drawer, not drawer, what is it, like a shelf, gets its, whatever we're working on for, like, all the stuff. So I'll keep, like, all the different colors of paint, or if I'm using glaze, or whatever I'm using for that project. Each project gets its own shelf, and then I keep all my extra stuff on it. So at the end of the night, we put our cart by the pieces that we're working on, and then tomorrow when we come in, we just grab our cart. We don't have to put stuff all the way away. but we also don't have stuff just completely laying around either. And then when the piece is done, then we put that piece's shelf worth of stuff back on the shelf. So it's been a huge time saver that we don't have to run around putting stuff away, pulling it back out, or tripping over it in our super small store, because we did that
Putting
a lot
it away. You're hilarious. You
right,
never
guys,
put it away.
So to be fair, I put nothing away. I'm like a child. But Margaret and Krista on Saturday, they are amazing at cleaning up after me. So I really did it to help them out, because I just kind of leave stuff where it is, because I prefer playing than cleaning. Alright, so this is Flamingo for our Flamingo. See? And let's get painting. I'm going to do just the drawer fronts because I want to try to be able to get to stenciling with you guys. The outside and the sides, I feel like we can do at another time. But let's kind of get this going. This paint got thick on me, and you guys don't usually see me with water, but I might use it today because apparently I didn't put my lid on enough and my paint got thick, and it's brushing on thick, which is doable but not ideal. So I will spray my brush a smidge and it'll help. And that's also what you do when you start painting and realize that your paint is not maybe cooperating, maybe it got thicker, maybe it got air. If you leave it open too long, some of the water will evaporate from it and it'll make your paint get thick. And then you just add water and keep going. It's fine. Because all that happened is water evaporated, so all that's needed to fix it is add more water. Now my rhyme or reason when I paint long pieces or tops or longer drawers, stuff like that, is same direction, and I pull from the beginning to the end to keep any of my possible paint lines long and smooth. This will help you later and will save you a ton of time when you go back and sand if you want your piece to be nice and soft. Almost sat in the paint. Great. Today's fun.
You're sitting on them?
Huh?
Your brushes?
No,
Or the apricot? It's in your cart. In the cart.
Ed.
Is that Ed?
Yeah. Probably. Yep. Hi, Ed.
Yo.
We're live. So, when your lids get stuck because you're a mess, just bang them a little bit and they open. Like magic. We already know that we needed water today, so we're just gonna preemptively do it. Now last week we did the transition line, so we started with the flamingo here. I'm painting this with the drawers in so that I can see these lines as I work. Then I'm gonna kind of pull this one out just a bit. There's hardware going on this. We had to take the old hardware off, and it was an odd spacing. So we used Dixie Belle mud to go over it completely. So that's why we can't use our screwdriver trick. Okay. So the reason I pulled that out a little bit is so that I can get here. But I don't want it all the way out because I want to be able to see how it plays against this when I push it back in. We're going to blend the flamingo and the apricot here in the transition. This is just water in a mister bottle. My apricot's on a separate one. The flamingo is still wet. And we're just going to go through. And that is actually more paint than I wanted, but it's okay. I'll make it work. I'm using a light hand. You're not going to push in too heavy when you're doing this. A lighter hand works. You're just trying to smooth the colors together. I switched to my flamingo brush. Get them working together. I want a tiny bit more flamingo, so I went into the lid, not even the paint, just to work a little bit more flamingo into the top here. I just wanted that blended out. Okay, so that would be our transition line from the one color to the next. But now we left the drawer in so that we can double check it, because now that looks great, but we don't know what it looks like with this pushed against it. And that's how you're going to see it. So we'll double check. I think we still like it, right? It's still working out. All right, so now we're going to have to fuss with this drawer. Side note. Now let's paint our apricot. And it looks like we're going to have to do the stenciling part of the project next week, and I apologize, but I only have like 10-15 minutes left to be with you guys, and we have not enough time to do that well, where I can actually teach you guys all the steps to what I'm doing. So I'd rather have time to be able to teach you. But what I can do is we can post a picture of the dresser on my page, and I will post a picture of both of the transfer stencils, and you guys can pick which one you want. And then next week we will go ahead and do a whole stencil part. And I'll teach you how to do bigger stencils and stenciling in general. Because once you know the basics to stenciling, just like any other technique, you can really stencil with anything and on anything. I know in New Jersey, Fiona DeBelle, who's an amazing artist, is not only teaching hands-on stenciling, but she's teaching stenciling on fabric and fabric painting, which is super cool. And you get to learn it, but you also get to create a set of napkins to take home.
Betty would like to know what the plan is as far as colors for the stencil.
So we started dark and went to light. It's going to be the same colors, but we're going to go from light and end up dark. We're going to ombre the stencil. Because a Flamingo's feathers are kind of like that. Here, do you want to show them what I mean? So all the colors are kind of blended up in here. And then here they have the flamingo color on top, and then the bottom kind of has everything working together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the top flamingo. I think, at least that's our plan for next week, is to keep the top flamingo and then make this just like the feathers where we have the different colors on top of each other. Do we have any other questions while we're doing this part?
Not yet, no.
This is kind of the easy
Not
stuff.
at the moment.
This was a super easy peasy one. Not too much technical going on other than how to fix that. We're gonna have to fix this drawer. So this drawer is being dumb. And I feel, ow, it just bit me. That's my second splinter today. Okay. I'm going to take this out when we're not super on camera, unless you guys really want to see it. And I'm going to put Big Mama's butter on it because I think it's just a matter of it's not sliding. It fits, it's just not sliding.
We do have a question from Christy. She's just joining us, but
Sure.
she wants to know what the water spray will do. Will the spray work with other kinds of chalk paint?
So I've been with Dixie Belle forever, and every now and then I've tried other paints, but I don't typically deviate, so I don't like talking and giving advice on other paint lines that I'm not familiar with. If it's a water-based paint, you should be able to add water and it won't affect the paint. But again, not having done it, I don't want to give too much information past there on other paints. For Dixie Belle, the reason I added water here is because, and it'll happen, is as you can see, sometimes I'm horrible and I paint out of my containers, which you really shouldn't do. You should decanter your paint. It's a bad habit I started 5 years ago, but sometimes your paint will thicken up, and this is why you shouldn't do it this way. As it's open, it's a water-based paint, so the water is evaporating, and there's nothing you can do to stop that besides putting your lid back on. So when I went to paint, my paint was thicker than I wanted it to be or that it should be. So I just sprayed water on my brush and it thinned it right back out. So it's also a fun trick to how to save your paint that way. When I sprayed the water here, it was to help the paint kind of glide and move a little bit better so that I could blend the two colors better and easier. So a lot of times if I'm blending, I'll use the water to kind of help them move and blend. You can use water for a million different things. You can use water to water down your color if you want to do like a wash. You can use, sometimes people like to use a wet brush or a damp brush, which obviously would then also be water, because to help with like their paint lines. I don't use water unless I feel like I need it. I just got used to painting directly with the paint as it was, but sometimes I do need it, and that's why. I can tell you that there's regular spray bottles that you can get at the dollar store. Those are different than this. Those will spray too much water too fast, and it'll kind of do like this overspray thing. Even if you put it on the mist option, it's not fine enough, and it'll be too much water, and you'll be constantly fighting with it. This is a mister bottle, so it does like, look, little poofs of water. Am I getting, no, it's going
You're not
away.
getting me wet. No,
Should I
we're
like
good.
spray marker? Oh, look how Mr. Bottle works. No, I won't do that to her.
So-
So that's fine.
Rhonda would like to know where you got the cart. I think like
The cart.
most craft stores.
Oh,
right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
everywhere has them. I think I got ours from like Michael's. They have them online. I think they were like $35.
Yeah.
I have a white one and Margaret has a gray one so that we don't mess with each other's carts. And it has wheels so I can drag it with me and put stuff away. That splinter really hurt. Darn it. That's being mean to me. It bit me. I was trying to help it out. Yeah, so the carts became huge. We sit on the floor. There was a whole conversation in the retailer's page about sitting on the floors. I don't do the rolly carts. For me to sit on, it drives me crazy. I like to kind of climb up and down. So I sit on the floor, but my cart has wheels and it can go wherever I go. Yay. I just noticed that there's some dings that we didn't get before, and pink champagne is a very light color, so I especially want to get these dark fingerprints off, especially if they're fingerprints. They would have left like a residue, and you don't want that underneath your paint. You want to get like this big black gouge out. It's just easier to sand it away now than to have it keep coming through your paint. So I will fix that quickly. It takes 2 seconds to fix, and it will save you countless time. And then while I have 6 more minutes left with you guys, I will just put on the pink champagne, and Margaret can show you guys this picture and these stencils. I'm going to go to Grace on Broadway. We're going to take a picture of this. I'll take a picture of each of the stencils, and then you guys, you know what, I'll take a picture of this, and then I'll put each one of these pictures in a comment under the picture, and whichever one of these you guys pick by clicking those special buttons to let me know is what we will apply next Tuesday. So,
and that answers Deborah from Scotland. Her question was,
hey,
are you going to use
Deborah,
a transfer?
No,
but
we're
it's
going to
be a stencil. So these are the 2 stencils.
They're both from Redesign with Prima. This one I already used, which is why it looks like that. And you guys get to pick, and I'm going to teach you how to stencil it. And the plan is to stencil it in the opposite colors of the dresser in an ombre, but going the opposite direction.
Michelle would like to know where you can find the Mr. Bottles at for purchase.
Well, right now, Dixie Belle retailers have them. So if you have a local retailer, you can reach out to them, and they have them. Not all of them, but some of them do. If you don't have a retailer, we ship, and we have them.
And Rhonda would like to know where you're planning on putting the stencil.
These 2 drawers. Because the flamingo is flamingo colored, like their bright color, and then their feathers are all the colors. So these are going to be inspired by like their feathers, and it's like, that's what we're going to do. Especially because these 2 drawers just look so flat to me. Because they are flat. So I want to break it up, and I want to give it dimension and have it look some other way than completely flat. So we're going to do that by starting light and ending up dark and light and dark. And if it works out how I think it is in my head, it's going to be cool. So I'm going to finish up with this. In the interim, this week, I'm going to go ahead and finish all the second coats. I just wanted you guys to see what happens when we're off scenes and my husband breaks stuff. Don't worry, he went back outside to talk on the phone. Haha. So, this is what happens. So we fix it, and then we do our second coat. No big deal. It's just furniture, and it's just paint. So it can almost always be fixed, which is the nice thing. We can't break it forever. So, I'm just going to finish up this drawer. If anyone has any last minute questions, I think we're just about at time. Hopefully I snuck in some decent lessons in between doing our second coat that we didn't touch on last time. That's the other fun thing, is that sometimes when you do something twice, you learn something different than you did the first time. Okay, I'm going to start here and pull back. Alright, so I'm going to turn around. Is there any last minute questions? Alright, well then, I'm going to let you guys go. Have your Tuesdays. Thank you for being here. Oh, one last question. Margaret.
You're doing the stencil next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday at 9,
okay.
Right here on Dixie Belle. But to vote, to be super clear, that post is going to be on my page, Grace on Broadway. So when we're done here, I'm going to post it. Give me about 20 minutes. I'll get that posted. Maybe not 20 minutes. There's just pictures. A few minutes. Just give me a few minutes. We'll get that posted. You guys can vote. And then I'll see you back here on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will make this fabulous. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I will see you guys later. Bye.